Let's go, everyone. Welcome in. Come in, grab a seat, grab a drink, whatever you got to do to get comfortable. Get yourself together because we're talking about the Brotherhood today. Now, it's been a couple of weeks, honestly. As you can see from my tag, I lost my uncle. Long live my uncle Brib. There's been a lot going on, so it's been a couple of weeks in between this episode and the last episode, but nevertheless, I'm here. Duke Blue Devils are 13-1 currently as we stand today. Coming off of, I'm recording this on a Monday evening, coming freshly off of a 4-point victory against Florida State, 91-87, in a game that a lot of people, depending on who you ask, didn't feel good. Depending on who you ask, a lot of people haven't felt good about this Duke team in the past, maybe about a couple of weeks or so. Kind of started, honestly, and that's the brunt of what I'm gonna be discussing today is what's going on. Is there something going on? We're gonna kind of like take a little deep dive, not necessarily a deep dive, but we're gonna dive into it a little bit. As I said earlier, Duke is 13-1. The last time I recorded, we had just finished the Michigan State game, I believe. We're 9-0. That followed by what was probably the very first problematic game in this run of problematic Duke play. The Lipscomb game, in which Duke actually did win 97-73. If you look at the final score, you would be like, how was that problematic? It was. I was actually in attendance for that game. That game was really weird. Turned the ball over a lot. Let me just get the numbers up real quick because I know y'all like to be exact. Y'all like to be exact with the numbers. Yeah, Duke wins that game 97-73. It was really weird. Lipscomb started really hot. Duke started hot and then cooled off like the last 10 minutes of that first game. Lipscomb got hot after that and just kind of lit it up. Duke turned the ball over 22 times that game, which is really wild. Like 22 turnovers in a game against a mid-major is kind of like, what are we doing, fellas? But Duke righted the ship. Duke actually went into halftime up by 3, 48-45, righted that ship, ended up winning the second half 48 or 49-28, excuse me. So, Duke pulled the game away, but a lot of people started to notice, like, I don't really understand. That was the very first game. The Texas Tech game actually was the first game which opponent shot over 50% from the field or 40% from the field because Duke was literally like putting the clamps on just locking everybody up. Lipscomb kind of showed some holes in that armor, some holes in the that armor actually, yeah. So I don't know. That game, like I said, I was at that game, and it just seemed like that game in particular. I'm not sure if Lipscomb they hit a couple of tough shots, but that was the one game in which the defense actually looked a little concerning. Like I actually saw Lipscomb get clean looks, run a lot of the stuff that they wanted to run, and get good looks out of it. The Texas Tech game was one of those situations where, honestly, Duke lost the game. They lost it by 1, but mainly everybody realized it was the free throws that lost this game for us. The free throw line, oh my God, we were horrible from the free throw line. And a game in which you lose by 1, um, the free throw line, I want to be exact with the numbers. Duke was 17 for 29 in that game. In a game in which you lose by 1, that's the difference in the game. But I also felt like some of the shots that not Louisville, because got Louisville on my mind. That's who Duke is playing tomorrow, actually. I also felt like some of the shots that Texas Tech hit were just tough shots, especially Christian Anderson down the stretch. We literally got beat by only 3 guys. Lawan Watts, I think he scored 20. JT Toppin, let me pull it up so I can be exact. JT Toppin had around 20. Christian Anderson had 27. I do remember the fact that Christian Anderson had 27. He went nuts. And a lot of his shots were just like tough shots. JC Toppin had right under 20, 19. Lawan Watt did have 20. I was correct about that. Christian Anderson, we literally got beat by 3 players. No one else scored more than 5 points, 6 points. Horner scored 6 points for them. Apologize. I don't want to short you on your point, my boy. You got it. But I felt like a lot of the shots that Louisville hit was tough. Now, before that Lipscomb game, Duke was number 2 in the country in Ken Palm. It changes base game on a game-to-game basis defensively. Number 2 in the country in Ken Palm, like total. Right now, as we speak. Duke is currently the number 9 team in KenPom. So took a little dive. Offensively, Duke right now in KenPom is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Slipped to 11. I think 13th in defense. I just looked at it a little bit lower than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Dropped 16 spots in defense, and according to Ken Pomeroy, which I know a lot of y'all probably don't know who that is. You probably heard the name, but you had no idea this is a real guy putting real numbers in the computers. But yeah, according to him, Duke is now the 16th best team in the country in defense after about 2 weeks ago being second. So what's happening? That's what we're examining today. What is going on? Now, honestly, as I just stated, Duke is 2-0 in the ACC. Just coming off the win against Florida State. Previous to that was the win against Georgia Tech, in which a lot of these are the two games that really got Duke fans in a panties in a bunch, underwear in a bunch, basketball shorts in a bunch, something's in a bunch when it comes to this Duke team with a lot of fans. Because I mean, let's just be honest, man. Duke fans are irrational. Some of us, I am too. I'm not excluding myself from the irrational Duke fans list, but there's levels to being irrational. You know what I mean? It's levels to it. Duke fans can be irrational. We want this team to play the toughest schedule ever because we felt like last year the schedule wasn't tough enough once we got into the conference. Check. John went out and did that. But we also want this team to go out and beat everybody by 35 points. Like, that's just not realistic, especially in conference. Even though we kind of did it last year, we think we had 6 games total. This is ACC tournament included, in which games were decided within a single digit margin. Everybody else got the belt, literally all season long. But there is a difference between last year's ACC and this year's ACC. Case in point, the very first game we played, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who are probably one of the bottom teams in the ACC, just to be honest. I expect them to finish no higher than 10th in the conference. That might be generous. Duke struggled, was down at the half, 43-39, ended up winning the second half, 46-36. But Georgia Tech, 10 for 18 from the three-point line, 54% from the field, 56% from the three-point line. And that's just numbers that you don't normally see with Duke defensively. Duke does not let teams shoot 50% from the field. They haven't been so far. Let me say that this season. Up until the Lipscomb game, in which I'm going to go back to that one because I want to be exact. Like I said, the Georgia Tech game, which I'll get back to that. Let me just make sure team-wise where I was correct with Lipscomb. No, okay, don't get me the line. Lipscomb, it just seemed like they shot. That game seemed like a long time ago too. Lipscomb shot 39%. They ended up shooting 39%. But the game after that, and is when it went awry, was which I did say that earlier. The Texas Tech game was the first game where somebody went over 40, and then it's just ever since then, the last 3 opponents, speaking from Texas Tech to Georgia Tech to Florida State, shot over 50% from the field against Duke. So what is that? Because that's not us. Texas Tech was 55. The three-point line, they didn't really light us up. They were 32% for the three-point line. We actually shot a little bit better for the three-point line. But the field, that was the first game, like I said, all season where someone got over 40. Texas Tech went well beyond 40. It went 55. You know, it is what it is. 2 All-American caliber type players on their roster. Honestly, it's not that surprising. The Georgia Tech game, like I said, which everybody was just kind of like, whoa, we let Georgia Tech do this. Georgia Tech lit us up. 10 for 18 from the three-point line. And honestly, I felt like, and I made a post on TikTok after this. You guys should follow the TikTok page, Brotherhood Breakdown, all together. But I kind of had made a post about, I felt like the shots that Georgia Tech hit weren't like, I call them scouting report shots. Like, I wasn't in the team meetings. I wasn't at practice, but I can almost guarantee you that's a team that does not typically shoot that well from the three-point line. I can almost guarantee you a lot of those shots that those guys were hitting. Because once you look at it, when you are trying to upset a team, you're prime, like you're a team that's looking for an upset. It usually starts with your best player playing out of his mind, and their best player sort of struggled against Duke, honestly. Um, Reeves, bro, 9 for 16 from the field. How many threes did Reeves hit in that game? Because Reeves went nuts. A lot of the shots he was hitting, like I was saying, I felt like a lot of those shots were scout report shots. Like the coaching staff went to these to the team, was like, okay, we want this guy to shoot in this spot. We want to give these guys those, let them have it. Give them the false sense of security, thinking that they're a good 3-point shooting team. They'll take a couple of ill-advised shots. They'll miss them. We'll run away with this. That's not what happened. They took those ill-advised shots and they hit them and kept hitting them and kept hitting them. Like Quasi Reeves, 5-7 for the 3-point line. Probably the best game of his life. I haven't watched like every single game he plays. I know he's not a new player for them, but I just shot out of his mind, man. Just literally shot out of his mind. Like 11 threes from this team is atypical. Like that team doesn't usually do it. Like I said, their best player, Baydongo had 4 points. We held their best player to 4 points. You know what I mean? So, and it was just a lot of shots that those guys hit specifically that game. So I checked that as a one-off. They just hit tough shots. Cool. Let's move on to the next game. Duke will see this and it'll even out. Very next game, we'll be fine. Okay. You think, right? Very next game. Very next ACC game, we play another bottom feeder. So to speak. I don't want to disrespect nobody in ACC, but let's be real, man. There's levels to talent. And Florida State and Georgia Tech are just at the bottom of that level. But needless to say, played another bottom feeder ACC team, struggled with them. Game was tied, and it was tied at halftime, but Florida State was clearly in control that entire first half. Duke never led the first half, tied it. Credit to the Blue Devils for keeping the game within range, because that's a game on the road, which the Georgia Tech game was at home, by the way. But this game was on the road in a place where Duke traditionally struggles. I don't care who Duke brings to town, how many All-Americans is on that particular team, how many first-round draft picks, how many lottery picks. Every time that team goes to Tallahassee, it's a struggle fest almost every single time. And 2026 was no different. But I felt like that the shots that they hit, and I literally went back and rewatched this game multiple times. Rewatched it. Actually, was rewatching it this morning when I got off of work. They hit a lot of tough shots, man. I mean, like, are you kidding me? The shots that McCray was hitting, like, salute to him, bro. He hit shots that you just be like, yep, that's it. They got it going tonight. And honestly, like, I'm one of those fans that you can kind of tell. I'm not the only one that's like this, but you know how, like, you've watched enough Duke basketball, you've seen Duke get upset enough. They were hitting shots that just seems like, oh yeah, this is that night. We're gonna lose this game. But the type of shots that they were hitting, I don't necessarily think it were maybe about 4 or 5 possessions of bad defense. I don't even think it was that much of like just okay, this was a bad defensive possession in which, well, the communication wasn't off. The communication has been a little bit spotty the past couple of games. I will say that, but as a whole, I don't think the defense has been as bad as what the numbers are saying. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like a lot of teams are just hitting tough shots. Well, these past 3 teams that the defense has looked really bad against. If you look at this just from a numerical standpoint, if you haven't watched these games, if you just go and just stat sheet watch, okay, I see Duke play. Let me just go and look at the stat sheet. You would be like, what in the world is going on? But as like I said, it's a little bit, I don't know. I would say the part of the defense that is concerning, like I just said, is the communication. I don't think the communication is as crisp as they've shown it to be early in the season, or is as crisp as I know it can be. But that isn't equaling up to a completely bad defensive performance all game long. Like I said, I feel like it's just a lot of tough shots being taken, a lot of tough shots being made. Duke is getting ready to play a team tomorrow in Louisville that takes and makes a lot of tough shots. That's just what they do. Now Florida State is the second highest 3-point shooting team as far as like attempts per game in the country, and they went out there and played like that. Took 33s. Let me make sure I'm correct about that. Y'all sticklers for these numbers. You know what I mean. I gotta make sure right. You know what I'm saying. I believe they took 33s. I believe Duke took like 39. 29. Duke didn't take 29. They took 27. I was right. Florida State took 33. They were 14 for 30. Right on bar. Right on par with what they do. Louisville does the same thing better. They're a better 3-point shooting team. They shoot more threes. The only team that shoots more threes than Florida State is Louisville. So it's gonna be interesting to see if Duke can right this ship. Now they will be doing it without their best player, their potential lottery pick, and Michael Brown Jr. with the report coming out today that he will be sidelined. He's having back issues. This will be his 5th game in a row that he's missed. Louisville is coming off a loss where they just lost to Stanford this past weekend in the West Coast trip. They blew Cal out, which Cal has been playing well. This ACC is a lot better than it was last year, and that's the main thing I want a lot of people to understand, that a lot of these teams that you saw Duke beat by 30 and 25 and 40 last year, they're not going to beat them like that this year. If they beat them at all, this conference is way better. Much improved from where it was last year. So it's going to be interesting to see if Duke can right that ship. Now, defensively, like I said, I would like to see the communication get a little bit better. And this is the main thing for me. Last year, Duke's defense didn't have holes. There was literally no weak spot. Even with guarding in space, like they didn't switch 1 through 5 much. They switched 1 through 4 with Malawatch on the floor, and that wasn't out of his inability to guard in space, because he was tremendous at guarding in space. That was to highlight his best attribute on the defensive end, which is rim protection. They dropped him specifically just to keep him near the rim. They didn't have to drop him. They could have switched him. This particular Duke team, as good as they can be defensively, has holes. And that is their front court guarding in space. Anytime we get a team with a dynamic guard, they are going to try to call Cameron Boozer or Patrick Gamba on the wing and try to get that mismatch. And it's not like barbecue chicken every single time. It's not like, oh my God, like having Ryan Young. I love you, my boy. You my boy. But it's not like having him on the perimeter trying to guard in space. It's just a weakness in comparison to where it was last year, with that was just nothing you could do. Like, just pray to God that the Duke team just didn't do enough offensively, because you weren't going to get enough offensively because they just didn't have any weaknesses. This Duke team has weaknesses on defense. But I don't necessarily think that the weaknesses they have on defense is the reason for the slippage in numbers. Right now, there's a slippage in numbers. I'm not really necessarily seeing a slippage in the defensive play across the board. Now, certain things are concerning. 14 games in, it's not necessarily that, and I'm gonna get to it. One of the things that's honestly concerning me right now is the wing position. Isaiah Evans excluded. I'm not one of those Duke fans that's really like, oh my God, we got to have a consistent second scorer, even though I've been consistent in saying that I think it would be Isaiah Evans. And I don't, I know a lot of people after the Texas Tech game were like almost in panic mode, which we came to find out, not giving them an excuse, but it is what it is. Apparently, Isaiah was sick, like really sick. And it showed, because he took 4 shots. Like, the Texas Tech game and the game we lost, so I want to point that out. There should never, ever be a time in which we have 2 starters that take 5 shots in between them. That should never happen. It was 5 shots in between Patrick Gamba and Isaiah Evans the entire Texas Tech game. No bueno. No bueno. Like, that should never, ever. I want to be exact with it while I'm talking to y'all, so I'm going to get that up. But the main thing that is concerning me, it is not the defense, because I feel like that can be reached. I've seen this team be elite defensively on all the levels. You know what I mean? But I've also seen this team show some chinks in the armor, especially when it comes to communication and the switching. The switching is not as, it hasn't honestly been as sharp as I would like to see it. It's been very good at times. It hasn't been great. But it hasn't, like, it the communication and the switching and the way we switch and when we're gonna switch that, which we're early, man. I expect that to, become a different thing. Like I expect that to be a little bit different. But um the thing that's really concerning me, man, is the lack of production from the wings. Literally. Like I said, Isaiah Evans excluded. Between Dame, which Dame played very well in the Florida State game, I want to give him his credit. Between Dame Sarr, Nick Kamenia, Darren Harris, which I'm not sure what's going on with Darren Harris. Maybe you guys can help me out. I don't understand why Shorty won't get on the floor. Why John refuses to play that kid. I have no idea. Maybe he's doing something. Maybe he's like goofing off in class and is getting back to John, and like we don't know. I just I just don't understand for the life of me why we're not getting any production from Nick Amenia right now, which I love the kid. I never expected the kid to be a 1 year guy and just to have it all, put it all together first year, first month of the season and just hit the ground running. But we got to get more production out of Nick Amenia. Back to what I was saying, but with the Texas Tech, I was correct. 1 shot for Patrick Gamba, 4 shot for Isaiah Evans. There should never be a game where we have 4 starters take 5 shots between them. That is a recipe for disaster. I don't care who you playing against, especially against a high scoring team like Texas Tech. But the production or lack of production from the wing is kind of concerning up to this point. Not that I'm concerned that I don't think we have an answer for it. I just think that that's one of the reasons why a lot of these games are closer than what they should be. Why Duke is not hitting on all cylinders the way they could. Coach Shire recently made the change in the starting lineup that everybody probably not saw coming, that everybody really wanted to happen and thought that would happen. Yeah, I guess maybe everybody saw it coming. And inserting Caden Boozer into the starting lineup, but to some people's surprise, not necessarily mine, because I just figured like I knew he wouldn't alienate Caleb. It wasn't for Caleb. It wasn't for Caleb Foster. It was pretty much for Nick Aminian, who, like I said, has been non-existent. Him and Dame Sarr, which, like I said, Dame played amazing in the Florida State game. He actually played very well in the Texas Tech game up until they set him down, which I don't really understand. I know he had 4 fouls, and I'm not sure if it was due to foul trouble why coach just set him down, but him only getting 10 minutes of that game was a head scratcher. I ain't questioning you, John. You got it, my boy. I don't know. I am questioning you when it comes to Darren Harris, though. What's up? We want to know what's up. The fan base need to know what's up, John. What did Darren do? Is it something that we can do as fans? Is it something that we can do as fans to get him back in your good graces? I do it. Like what I need to do, bro. I want to see Shorty get on the floor. He has too big of a clip, too much potential to help us from a shooting standpoint. And let's be honest, offense is not like, I don't want to make it seem like we like really bad at offense, but the offense has been honestly the most disappointing thing for this team up to this point of the season for me. And it hasn't even been bad. We've been the top 15 offense all year. One of the better offensive teams in the country. One of the high scoring teams in the country. It's just not on the level that I believe that it could be at. Darren Harris is one of those guys that I believe can help us reach that level, especially when we're not getting offensive production from Nick. We're not getting offensive production the way we would like it from Dame. Caleb's been fine. I've been real quiet on that. Caleb Foster needs to transfer. We need to replace Caleb Foster front, ain't it? Been real quiet. Shorty out here hooping. Best season of his career at Duke, which we knew it wasn't going to be like eye-popping numbers, but just solid, bro. Hits clutch shots when you need them. I'm so proud of Caleb, man. I'm glad he turned this corner and, he's making his way, making this imprint on this roster. But the wing, man. The wing. We got to get it going from the wing. Now, I haven't lost faith in Nick. I like what I see from Dame. I like the fact that even with some of Dame's struggles, his confidence does not struggle. Right now, it just seems to be a confidence thing for Nick. I could be wrong, but I've been around a long time. I've been playing basketball a long time. I've played basketball and lost confidence. I've coached players that's lost confidence. I know what a lack of confidence looks like. You could see it in Caleb early on. Like, you could see it. in certain spots. And just certain spots you can just see it with Nick, man. It's just like, I don't know. I'm really rooting for this kid to just stack positive play on top of positive play, because those are the type of things that can get you out of a funk. Right now, he's in a shooting funk, and the way to get out of that, outside of making shots, which is duh, of course you got to make shots. Everybody knows that, but one of the best ways to get out of that is just to stack positive plays on top of each other, man. Like, go out and set a hard screen, a good screen that frees up a guy for a jumper. Go out and get a loose ball, that a 50-50 ball that turns into points for us the very next possession. You know, go out and get a big stop on defense. Like, that's just positive plays. It doesn't necessarily have to be, it can be intangible things. I just want to see him stack positive plays so he can do something to get his confidence back, because we have to address this lack of production from the wing if we are going to be the team that we all think that we can be. We meaning the fans. Y'all people that don't like dudes, y'all not included in this week. Y'all not part of this week. I'm speaking specifically for the fan base and the people that believe that this is a national championship caliber team, which it is. It is. To all the people, like, because I've had people in my TikTok comments be all over the place after wins. Just guys commenting like, this is not a national championship team. Like, it was literally people in my comments telling me how they didn't think this team was going to win the national championship after beating Georgia Tech. Let me reemphasize, like, I want to reemphasize this. Duke has lost one game this season, guys. A game they really shouldn't have lost. They are 13-1 against one of the hardest schedules I have ever seen in my life to this day. We have one prime matchup in the non-con. We breezed through all of them. Lost one game we really shouldn't have lost. We got one prime matchup against the best team in the country, arguably, in the Michigan Wolverines, coming up in a month. But we've passed all the tests, y'all. Like, what do y'all want? Like, we struggle against a team, and like, people's memories go out the window, because the game with Cooper, I had to point this out to somebody. The game with Cooper had 42 against Notre Dame. Duke struggled against a team that had no business struggling against. They struggled in a few games last year, in games they had no business struggling. The NC State game in Durham, we had to fight and claw to beat that team. No business, like, keeping that game. Like, it happens, y'all. Like, I don't know. So, regardless to what some people think, I still believe this is a championship caliber roster, but I do want to get that wing issue addressed. Now, a couple more things before I get out of here. One of the other things that I would like to see change consistently going forward, which I'm sure that it will be, because first play of the game in the Florida State game, it was obvious. Shire drew up a play specifically to get Pat a touch. Now, he didn't score, but it kind of let me know, which they tried. Florida State did a really good job of denying the entry pass, like a really good job at it. It's the best I've seen any team do, and they're not even a good defensive team. So I wonder if other coaches will watch that film and with better defenders implement the same strategy specifically, because I don't think Cameron Boozer struggled, but Cameron Boozer did struggle to get touches, and that was due to the way Florida State denied the entry and keeping one up top and one behind and always being ready to rotate. And they did a really good job, which is also why we shot really well from the 3-point line too, because they just focused on taking away the paint. But Shire made a concerted effort to get the ball, the very first touch, a paint touch, into Patrick Gamba. I would like to see us do more of that, not even just the first touch of the game. We got two guys that can get buckets pretty much anytime they want against one-on-one coverage, and two guys that, when they don't get one-on-one coverage, they are probably arguably the best passing bigs in that conversation for sure. Both of them, best passing bigs in college basketball. So I would like to see us make a more concerted effort to not just necessarily get paint touches, get post touches. It's the difference in paint touches and post touches. I feel like we need more post touches to play a little bit inside out more. I know that's not the direction that the game is going now. I know pace and space is the mantra for this team. Like, they want the floor spread as much as possible. And I get it, you know. I just would like to use some of our strengths, and I feel like Cameron is a strength, Patrick is a strength in the post. I feel like we can get more out of this roster if we Get those guys touches in the post more. That's just me. I don't know nothing. I'm just a fan who cheer and watch every game like my life depends on it. That specifically. The last thing I would like to address before I get up out of here, is the point of attack defense. Now, with Caden Boozer inserted into the starting lineup, our point of attack defense is just going to slip some, and it has, because he is a beatable guard. Just I'm gonna call it spade a spade. I ain't calling spades kings on this show. I don't do that. Love the kid to death. He tries. He gives maximum effort. This is not a lack of effort thing. He is just a guard you can beat. You can flat out beat him off the dribble. So with him in the starting lineup, our point of attack defense is going to struggle, which makes our ability to rotate, which we've shown that our ability to rotate very well. The communication has to be on point when you're rotating too, though. So I would like to see that step up. But our point of attack defense, I expect to take a little hit because I think this is the last, maybe not. Honestly, I think this might be the last lineup change as far as starting. I honestly can't see him moving Slim. I don't think he's going to ever move Caleb. He's not going to move either one of the two bigs out of the starting lineup. I believe this is the last starting lineup change we're going to see. This is the starting lineup that we're going to go with for the rest of the year. And if that is the case, Caden is going to either have to make a more concerted effort to be more alert. It's nothing you can do about being slow. And that's basically what it is. He's just not that quick of a guard. But he is a very big guard, 6'4", 6'5"-ish. Most guards, point guards, lead guards aren't that big. It's different things that he could do to circumvent his lack of foot speed or agility. Just be a little bit more aggressive with his hands. Be a little bit more intuitive about beating the guys to spots. That's something to watch. That is something to watch because when you substitute Nick or Dame for that spot, especially with Dame in the starting lineup, our defense was on a whole different level, especially as far as point of attack, because that put Caleb at point of attack. And Caleb is an elite point of attack defender. Caden is not. So that's something to watch going forward. How will the point of attack change? And will that be problematic for Duke? I don't know. Remains to be seen. Like what I've seen so far, like the fact that the team is, like I said, in this position, man, I don't really know. I mean, I do know what y'all want. Y'all are weird. Some of y'all. Y'all want us, like I said in the opening of the show, to go 40-0, win every game by 37 points in order for y'all to believe that we are who we think we are, to quote Dennis Smith. And they let him off the hook. All right, I had to get it out. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. 13-1 though, bro. Like, what y'all want? I love it. I take 13-1 in this stretch. One of the tougher ACC opponents coming up very next game in the Louisville Cardinals, but like I said, they're playing without their best player, so should bode well for Duke. Remains to be seen. So, I will be back with you guys. 26 is different for me. I am in full podcast mode. I just added a third show to my belt. I am going crazy right now, but I will be back with you guys next week or shortly after that to discuss more Brotherhood with y'all, because like I said, this is my therapy. This is my Duke therapy, just to get off my mind. Excuse me. What's going on with my team? This is my baby, man. My favorite child. I always refer to my football team. I mean, my teams, my football team, basketball teams. I refer to them as my kids. Duke is my favorite child. I don't have a favorite child in real life. For any of my kids that watch this, my oldest child probably will see this. I just want you to know I don't love you or your brothers more than the other one. But Duke, I love them more than the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Rams and the New York Yankees, which are my other sports teams. I just love Duke more. So, love getting up here to talk. Want to thank everybody for locking in. Which you'll see. Follow the socials, Brotherhood Breakdown, all the way across the board. Instagram, on TikTok, Brotherhood Breakdown. Brotherhood Breakdown TikTok is where I am the most active. Pro and Pod on Twitter. Pro and Pod Talk. Excuse me, if you want to reach me on Twitter /X. But like I was saying, TikTok is the platform, especially with the Brotherhood Breakdown. I'm the most active. I go live on there after every single game. We have a ball, so you guys follow the socials. But nothing else. Catch you guys next time. Let's go do.